Football does not care about reputations. The sport has a long and glorious history of ignoring what the rankings say, what the bookmakers expect, what the pundits predict, and what logic would suggest, and nowhere, at no competition, at no stage, in no format, has football produced more of those moments of willful disregard for expectation than at the World Cup. Because the stakes are higher here than anywhere else. Because the teams are better here than anywhere else. Because the moments of shock here are more complete, more total, and more permanent than anything the sport produces in any other arena. These are the 5 greatest upsets in World Cup history. 5 results that defied logic, reshaped the sport, and in at least one case, changed the rules of the game forever. Welcome to Everything About Football. Number 5, USA 1, England 0, 1950, Belo Horizonte, Brazil. England made their World Cup debut at the 1950 tournament in Brazil. They had boycotted the previous 3 editions of the competition due to a dispute with FIFA and had therefore never competed at a World Cup before. They arrived in Brazil with a squad containing genuinely elite professional players: Alf Ramsey, Tom Finney, Billy Wright, Stanley Matthews. They were considered among the tournament's favorites. Their opponents in Group 2 were Chile, Spain, and the United States. The United States team was, by any conventional measure, not competitive. They were a collection of part-time players who held other jobs outside football. Joe Gaetjens, who would score the only goal of the match, was a dishwasher in a restaurant in New York. Another member of the squad was a letter carrier, another a teacher. They had practiced together for 1 day before the tournament. They set off to Brazil on a boat. Gaetjens scored in the 37th minute, a diving header that deflected off his body and flew past goalkeeper Bert Williams. England dominated the remaining 53 minutes. They had shot after shot. They could not score. USA goalkeeper Frank Borghi was extraordinary. The final whistle blew. USA 1, England 0. The result was so unexpected some British newspapers receiving the score via telegraph assumed it had been transmitted incorrectly and reported it as England 10, USA 0. The actual result, 1-0 for the United States, had to be verified before it was published. The New York Times, equally disbelieving, initially questioned the wire service before confirming the score. England went home after the group stage. Neither nation qualified for the final round, but the result has never been forgotten. Number 4, North Korea 1, Italy 0, 1966, Middlesbrough, England. The 1966 World Cup was held in England. Italy were 2-time world champions, having won the tournament in 1934 and 1938. North Korea were making their World Cup debut. They were unknown. They trained at a colliery in County Durham, a working mining community in the north of England. The locals adopted them, attending training sessions, cheering them on, coming to love this mysterious Asian team that nobody had expected to see at a World Cup. When Italy faced North Korea in their decisive group match at Ayrsham Park in Middlesbrough, a match in which Italy needed only a draw to advance, the Italians were expected to win comfortably. Italy's squad included some of the finest players in Serie A. North Korea were considered nothing more than an interesting curiosity. Pak Doo-ik scored the only goal just before half-time. His name, a 25-year-old army officer from Pyongyang, was barely known outside the Korean peninsula when he walked onto that pitch. By the time the final whistle blew, it was one of the most famous names in the history of the tournament. Italy were eliminated. On their return to Genoa, they were pelted with rotten tomatoes and eggs by furious supporters. The result remains, by most assessments, the most surprising single World Cup victory over a major nation in the tournament's 90-year history. Number 3, Algeria 2, West Germany 1, 1982, Gijón, Spain. The most significant upset in this countdown is not necessarily the most famous, but it is the one with the most lasting consequences. Algeria arrived at the 1982 World Cup in Spain as first-time participants. They were placed in a group alongside West Germany, the reigning European champions, considered among the strongest teams on earth, Austria, and Chile. One West German player asked before the match about Algeria reportedly said he would play against them with a cigar in his mouth. That attitude, that dismissiveness, would prove catastrophic. Algeria matched West Germany in the first half with fast, one-touch passing football that the Europeans had not anticipated and could not neutralize. Rabah Majer gave Algeria the lead in the 54th minute, reacting to a saved shot from Lakhdar Belloumi and poking the rebound into the net. Karl-Heinz Rummenigge equalized in the 67th minute, and then 1 minute later, Belloumi struck the decisive goal, stroking the ball home and completing one of the greatest upsets the tournament had produced. Algeria 2, West Germany 1. West Germany recovered, They reached the final where they lost to Italy, but they did so in the most dishonorable fashion possible. In the final group game, West Germany versus Austria, knowing that a West German win by 1 or 2 goals would send both teams through and eliminate Algeria, the two teams produced what became known as the disgrace of Gijón. West Germany scored after 11 minutes, and for the remaining 79 minutes neither team made any serious attempt to change the score. They passed the ball sideways and backward in plain sight of an enraged crowd. Algeria, having beaten West Germany and won their other matches, were eliminated on goal difference. The football world was so appalled that FIFA acted. From the 1986 World Cup onwards, all final group matches were played simultaneously. That rule, which is enforced today and will govern the 2026 World Cup, exists because Algeria beat West Germany and West Germany colluded to ensure it meant nothing. The reform is one of the most significant in the tournament's history, and it was born from one of the great upsets. Number 2. Cameroon 1, Argentina 0, 1990, Milan, Italy. The 1990 World Cup opened at the San Siro in Milan with a match between the defending champions and an African nation making only their second World Cup appearance. Argentina, led by Diego Maradona, 4 years removed from his iconic 1986 tournament, were heavy favorites. Cameroon were considered a respectable opponent, nothing more. The match was physical from the beginning. Cameroon had 2 players sent off. They played more than half the match with 10 men in the final stages with 9. And yet, with a 9-man team, they held the lead they had taken in the 67th minute when François Omam-Biyik headed in from a free kick. Argentina's goalkeeper Nery Pumpido fumbled the header under his own body and it crossed the line. Cameroon 1, Argentina 0. The defending champions, with Diego Maradona, with Claudio Caniggia, with a squad built for tournament football, beaten by a 9-man Cameroonian side in the opening match of the 1990 World Cup. Roger Milla, 38 years old, came off the bench in subsequent matches and scored 4 goals. Cameroon reached the quarter-finals, the furthest any African nation had gone in the tournament at that point. They lost to England in extra time. But what they did in Milan, on that opening night in front of the watching world, announced African football to the global audience in a way that had never been done before. Number 1, Saudi Arabia 2, Argentina 1, 2022, Lusail Stadium, Qatar. Argentina entered the 2022 World Cup in Qatar on a 36-match unbeaten run, the longest unbeaten streak in their national team's history. They were co-favorites to win the tournament. They had won the Copa America in 2021. They had Messi, playing in what he had announced would be his final World Cup. Messi scored a penalty in the 9th minute. Argentina led 1-0. Saudi Arabia had played nervously. Everything was proceeding as expected. And then, in the space of 5 minutes in the second half, everything changed. Salah Al-Shari scored for Saudi Arabia in the 48th minute, and then Herbi Al-Dawri, driving inside from the left with a round soccer ball at his right foot, struck a curling shot into the far top corner in the 53rd minute. Saudi Arabia 2, Argentina 1. The Saudi players celebrated in front of their own supporters, faces wide with disbelief and joy in equal measure. Messi stood in the center circle, hands on hips, unable to comprehend what had happened. Argentina, ranked 4th in the world. Saudi Arabia, ranked 49th, a gap of 45 FIFA ranking places. A 36-match unbeaten run ended by 5 minutes of football. The result was, by any statistical measure, the most improbable upset of the modern World Cup era. Saudi Arabia finished bottom of their group. Argentina recovered, winning 4 games in a row to progress, and ultimately won the tournament. But none of that diminished what happened on the 22nd of November 2022 in Lusail Stadium. For 5 minutes, a 49th ranked nation played at the level of the world's finest, and the scoreboard reflected it truthfully so. 5 upsets, 1 sport. 1 truth, Gaetjen scoring with his hair for a team of dishwashers and postmen. Pak Doo-ik silencing Italy. Algeria demonstrating that West Germany could be beaten and then being betrayed by the system their victory exposed. Omam-Biyik beating a 9-man Cameroon into the record books alongside a fumbling goalkeeper. And Al-Dawsari curling a shot into the top corner of Emiliano Martinez's net with the watching world unable to believe what it was seeing. Football does not care about reputations, it never has, and the World Cup is the place where that truth is most clearly, most regularly, and most magnificently demonstrated. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Everything About Football for more analysis, history, and debate. The beautiful game in all its depth.